Hello and welcome back to Full House Sports here with myself, Charlie. Right, for those of you that follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, I'll put the link in the description of the video. I will see that I attended the first Rugby League Ashes test a couple of Saturdays ago. Now, for those that don't know, and anyone who doesn't has probably had their head in the sand, the series has already been wrapped up by Australia 2-0, and I've got to say from the first game, I said it on my Instagram at Wembley, it looked like the two were leagues apart. Australia were vastly superior and looked like they didn't get out of third gear, and for England it was worrying. And I think the thing that's been overshadowing this Ashes, there's been a few bits I'm going to talk about throughout the week because I love my rugby league, for those that don't know. The big thing that's been overshadowing it is the potential NRL investment in Super League. NRL, of course, is the big commercial entity in rugby league, and it is something that it potentially, if they decide to invest, could turn Super League on its head. Super League and the RFL have been undoubtedly in financial difficulty. Their strategy as well has been iffy at times. The promotion system, I mean, I can't even get my head around, to be honest with you. It's that complicated. So it's one of them things where I think this is a potential turning point for rugby league in this country. Now, there's other bits about the test to discuss. I'll discuss them through the week. For example, International Rugby League, where that's going, my opinions on Wembley as a stadium, and I'll talk about them in later videos. But I do think this meeting is massive. And if the NRL do decide to take over, if Peter V'landys is coming out with all these ideas and these ideas get put into practice, then I think it could be huge for rugby league. Now, of course, I have my I'm a bit apprehensive about it because you always look at these sorts of things and think, well, what's in it for them? You know, we've seen it with other big investors in British sport recently. You know, what's in it for the UAE buying Man City? What's in it for the Saudis invested in boxing? And I'm not comparing the NRL to them two. They're not trying to sports wash or anything, but they're not looking at Super League and doing this as a charity. They're looking at doing this as, we want to invest in Europe. We want the European market now. We want a footprint there. Of course they're doing it. And they're seeing Super League and they're seeing rugby league in general and going, that's an opportunity for us. But you only have to look at the growth of the NRL in the last few years, the Vegas exhibition games, the investment in Papua New Guinea, and now the franchise going there, to see what the plans are for the league. And it is exciting. And I think I've got some notes here. I think some of the things that they could potentially do for Super League would be huge. For starters, Peter V'landys has spoke about putting rugby league in schools. He wants rugby league in schools. And I agree with this. I'm from a Midlands hotbed, a hotbed for rugby union. But if you could get a league team here, because not everyone's going to play for Leicester Tigers or Northampton Saints, but you've got those fundamental rugby skills here. Now, there could be a player who maybe doesn't quite make the grade at Tigers or doesn't quite make the grade at Saints, but they might have those skills that are transferable to league that could make them a better league player. That's what I'm talking about. And you've got those players potentially at schools, especially in my area, but other areas as well. The West Country, for example, another rugby union hotbed. You've got that potential to have players and that pipeline come through. If they do that with schools, that would be absolutely fantastic for the sport in this country. Another thing that the NRL has spoke about is investment in expanding the league. And that to me is really exciting because I think there's huge opportunities in rugby league in Europe. You've got France, I've got 2 Super League teams now. Could you potentially look at putting a game in Paris? I saw that doing the round. Could you do an exhibition there? Help the sport grow there. Union's massive there. Could you get league big there as well? You've got Greece and Malta. Again, places that have got big expat communities in Australia. Could you look at going there with games and trying to sell it as that as a product? That would be something to behold. Could you look at putting a franchise in Dublin, for example, or trying another Celtic team? I think it's been a huge miss from the Super League that they haven't tried to push on. And let's face it as well, a stronger European game means a stronger international game, because at the minute, the international game is focused so heavily on the Pacific. And listen, it's great to see, but could you then have a stronger European game? A stronger European game as well means a stronger England team, because we've seen that the lack of mid-season tests, the lack of warm-ups for this Australia series, England look like a team that haven't played together. Well, I think the NRL will put a team in London. That's great. If you could get a star over to London and you could put a foundation there, I know London, and I do think this could be a mistake, London is a hugely competitive sporting market. But if you could get some sort of footprint there, the potential is huge. If you could get a big Aussie name over to London as a marquee, that sells big, and all of a sudden interest in the league is spiked. You saw at Wembley, I saw my own eyes, there was people there who were Union fans, who were probably just there as a fan of rugby in general. If you could get them more to come towards the Union side, to look at, sorry, not the Union side, more to look at league, then that's a huge chance. I do think, unfortunately, it does mean sort of ripping up the heritage of the game. And I think that's a real shame for the sport in England. But something's got to be done. The sport's in massive debt. And there's a huge potential here that's not being tapped into. And I think it's hugely exciting if they can completely rip up the system. Because they're looking at taking rugby league global. There's games in Singapore, there's games in Hong Kong being looked at. The potential is huge. And if you can help that grow in this country especially, it would be fantastic. Because I think International Rugby League has shown these last couple of weeks that it's the pinnacle of the sport. It's been brilliant. The Pacific Nations Cup, the Ashes, it's selling big. People are watching on telly. But you need a competitive England for that. And in order for a competitive England, I think you need to rip up the current system. That's the truth of it. But anyway, guys, it's the first video I've ever done on Rugby League, so let us know what you guys think. Please give us a like, please comment, please subscribe. Try and cover all sports. I love my Rugby League, as I've said. It's a brilliant sport. Just fast-flowing, hard-hitting, brilliant to watch. So let us know what you guys think. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. Have a great day.